I'm really excited the fact we've got this younger generation of composers. Let's just talk a little bit about this song. I met you last year and you said you were going to do this Marathi song. In fact, you'd had issues with the radio not playing Marathi songs, and you said, screw them, excuse my English, my French even, I'm going to do something that is going to challenge that. And you said you were going to travel all over the place to get it. And I thought, I here probably have like 10, 15 singers, but 450. I mean, is that Guinness Book of Records?
We didn't try. I don't know. I just wanted to make a big song.
Okay.
So I didn't really think of records or anything. I just wanted to make a point, which I think I made.
I'm from Visakhapatnam, a city in Andhra Pradesh. I was never supposed to get into music. I was a great student in wherever I was. But I used to play in church, being a Christian. I used to play little music. I started very late. I started when I was 18. I'm 32 now. But by the grace of God, I went picked up quickly. And I had it going very well for me when I actually came to Bombay to work with Salim and Suleiman. So, whatever I know today, sonically, musically, most of it comes from that kind of training. So,
Did you go straight into that when you came to Bombay?
Yeah.
So you got. So how did you? Because one of the key things is, how do you make that step? And how do you get the courage to go and ask someone, or does someone introduce you? How does that work?
Yes, Deepak, who's an audio engineer, a Grammy winner, works with A.R. Rahman. He's from the same city. We grew up together, in fact. He came to Mumbai first to work with Mr. Ranjit Baro, and he then got me here because I used to work in a studio over there, but earning 700 rupees a month or so, doing small radio recordings and stuff. But he called me in over here when in those days itself, in 2004, Salim Suleiman was a big name already, and he was kind enough to suggest me to them.
Put in a good word.
Yeah, put in a good word as a studio assistant, not like a musician, not as anything. I was just there to hit the record button or just connect the mic and running around boy and that kind of space. But then once I started picking up musically, Salim Merchant mostly, because he's mostly the musical head from the both. So he used to always encourage me to get into production, and from there I counted 52 films with them on background scoring, and then I moved on and started doing my own stuff.
I started off, my mother's a sitar player, and I started off learning the sitar when I was about 3 years old. And I started off, she gave me a baby sitar, and just because I couldn't reach the far notes. But then, as I think destiny would have it, I picked up a toy flute, the ones that you play in march past bands, and then that sort of graduated into learning proper classical music, because I come from a family of Indian classical musicians, and I just took to it like fish to water, and it just built inside me. And intrinsically, I'm a very emotionally heavy person. I mean, like a very sentimental person. So I think that's what, when you say it's connected to the heart, that's what I think that's what it means, because that's where the music comes from. And for me, anything without emotion ceases to be music. It's just noise after that. Whatever sort of emotion, it could be angst or any other form. I mean, if it's not connected to any emotion, then it ceases to be music. So that's where my grounding comes from.
I've had a very interesting journey in terms of, as a musician, although I don't really consider myself a musician, I dabble a bit with different instruments.
Dabbler. Look at the work you've done. That's not dabbling.
Professional musician or very accomplished musician. It's to give what people want at the end.
I think this is a very important thing that we perhaps haven't touched on today. That when you are being employed by someone to do a score or an ad, you are serving their needs, but you're trying to use your talent and your the emotional side to create what they want. And to understand, I don't know if you find this, that sometimes when a director says something,
it could be tricky to begin with. I mean, when people say something, but they probably mean something else. And
because you don't want to undermine the director or whatever.
Correct. But it's a hidden trial thing also. You never get it the first shot. There are always changes. I think this is the zone you have to try and accomplish and get to. So these are areas perhaps You don't really have a way to learn that. Nobody's going to actually teach you that. It's just an intuition that you have to figure it out as you work over the years. It comes through a lot of experience. That's for
Yes,
sure.
of course, yeah.
As much as possible, not trying to form a bias. Eventually, you do have a bias. You do have your particular taste. You do say, I like smooth jazz or something like that. That's your thing. But I've kept an open ear for everything and tried to assimilate all kinds of music, starting from Carnatic, if that's your schooling, and right up to Frank Sinatra, to big band, to classical music, to fusion, to techno, to whatever, rock, hard rock, metal, everything. I've tried to touch and understand it. I think that helps a lot.
A lot of similarities. It started with just music was a huge hobby and passion for a very long time. So I used to just listen to all kinds of music growing up, and I was surrounded by family, cousins, and my parents, and everyone used to listen to music. So growing up, there'd be all kinds of music around. And I saw a cousin when I was really young, tinkering on the computer, making some music. I was like, wow, that can happen. You can do it on your own. You don't, And I used to play the guitar. So college, I used to just tinker around with the computer for a long time. And over that period of time, I met Benedict. And in between, I used to work as an actor for a while. So I used to work in theatre, and in theatre, you sort of end up doing everything. So I'd start scoring plays, and that's how I sort of got into scoring for film. What I enjoy the most about scoring for film, rather than score, and people sometimes ask, oh, you work for film, but what is your music? And what kind of music do you do on your own? And I was that's my music. I mean, that's what I really enjoy doing. And I enjoy trying to find, how to bring about what the film really means, or what the soul of the film is, or how to work within the narrative structure of the film. I studied literature in college, and even through acting and theatre, it's all sort of works within the same sort of space.